So starting off, inside of your Cerbos Hub account, when you have a new organization, you can go and create a new playground. One of the first capabilities we've now added is the ability to create a playground from a simple RBAC policy. Rather than have to go into like a blank slate or use one of our templates, you can actually go through a wizard which goes and asks you some questions and prompts around what kind of roles, what kind of resources you have inside of your system. Will actually go and generate a starting point policy for you. So I'm going to pretend I'm building like a finance system. So I'm going to have a user, I'm going to have an admin, and I'm going to have a manager inside of here as my different roles. And then in terms of the different resources inside of my system, we're going to have a purchase order, we're going to have an invoice, and we're going to have an expense. And so for each of these, we can have different actions. So we're going to start with a purchase order. So who can create a purchase? Actions are create, read, delete, approve, let's say. For an invoice, I want to read, forward an invoice to a different user, update and delete. And then for an expense, I want create, read, approve, and deny. And so now we've got our different resource types inside of our system, what those different actions are. I'm going to go on and the next step, which is now we get our nice permission matrix. So in here I can define different actions. So I want my admin firstly to be able to do everything. So I'm going to give the admin that permission for everything going on. I want a user, I want them to be able to create, read, and I want them to read an invoice, I want them to update an invoice, I want them to be able to create an expense, read an expense, but they can't approve and deny. And then I want a manager to do the same thing, but also do the approve actions for each of these. So read, allow them to forward, also going to allow them to delete in this case. And then for an expense, I want them to create, read, approve, and deny. Go through that, and that is going to go and bring us into Playground. And inside of here, once it loads up, we're going to have a new set of policy. So inside of this Playground, we've created our policy, and we can see here that it's gone through and structured out kind of the basic role-based access control, the RBAC policy. So each of our resource types, here's the purchase order, here's an expense, here's an invoice. We have the different actions, which roles can do it, and then whether that should be allowed or denied. We've also gone and created the test cases. So as part of the process, we take those examples that you've given during the wizard, and we've created all the test cases for the different resource types. And we've also generated example principles and resources for each of them. So we create some generic names here, but then you can start expanding on these. And this is really where you can get started. I could start going around changing these rules. This is a live playground. We're now actually going to get some feedback. We can see that our test results have now failed. So there's a couple of test cases which are now failing because I've changed this policy. So it's that real-time feedback piece. You can see exactly what is going on and what's what your business logic is. Now this is a basic RBAC policy. Most cases you'll need to go onto attribute-based access control, but you can then start using the playground to start adding in those conditions where you need to maybe go and add some further rules where you want to look at individual attributes of the resource or the principal making the request. So you can inspect any one of these elements from the request coming in and then make a more fine-grained permission.